Hi guys, this is Kim, and this morning I wanted to come to you to share with you a dream that I had on this morning, right before I woke up. It was like a wild dream. It was like adventurous, but it was cool, and so I just wanted to share with you guys, because dreams are sometimes kind of like stories, so I wanted to share this. So the dream started off, I was in a meadow, like you see before you. It was green grass, clear blue skies, not a cloud in sight, and I was looking up at the sky. So then the next day I was in the same meadow, and I was looking up in the sky, and I saw this horseman riding across the sky, and the horseman was black. The horseman looked like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Paul Revere statue. If you haven't, you can Google it. But it looked like the Paul Revere statue. You know, it was the color of the Paul Revere statue. You know, it looked like kind of like a black or dark grayish or black horse, and it was riding across the sky. The horseman and the horse were the same color. So it was riding from the sky. I watched it ride in from my left, and it rode to my right. And then all of a sudden, the horse stopped. It turned around and it stopped like in mid-stride. I mean, it stopped like it was like frozen in the air. And I remember looking at the horse going, oh my God, you know, because horses don't ride and gallop in the air. That's not normal, because they have nothing to touch. Their feet have nothing to touch. So this is like, I'm looking at this like in amazement. And so the horse stopped. He turned around. He stopped in mid-stride. I mean, it was like he was frozen in time, like frozen in the air. And the horseman took out a telescope, and he put the telescope up to his eye, and he looked like back toward the left, like he was looking back through the telescope toward the left. And then he just disappeared. So then I looked across the meadow all the way to the other side of the meadow, and I saw people there, and I could see them discussing what just happened, because they saw it too. And I was hollering across the meadow, pointing up at the sky, going, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? You know, I'm just hollering at the top of my lungs, but they can't hear me, I guess, because we're so far away. And so I just forget about talking to them, and I turn to my left and I start running through the meadow. So I end up at this house, where it's this lady and this man standing on the outside of the house. And I tell this lady that I've been keeping up with events that are going on and that are going to happen. And I told her what I saw. And she took my hand and she led me into the house. And then she led me into a room where there were 3 other people sitting. And these people seemed like they were young, maybe in their 20s, or early 30s. And so she told them what I had saw, and she told me to tell them what I had saw. So I told them. The next thing I'm doing is the scene switches. I'm in the car with these people, and we're riding through a city street. And it's a busy city street, you know, because I see the stop signs and everything. So we're riding, and there's traffic ahead of us. So then I'm looking out the back window, and all of a sudden I saw 3 metallic objects in the sky, and they had pointed fronts. So they looked like airplanes to me, like, I don't know, like jets. And so they came in, and they were flying in really, really fast. And they flew over us. And I turned real quick to look in the front, to look through the front window to see where they were going. And they crossed in the sky. And right when they crossed, there was a big boom. And a wave started to come down out of the sky, like it was coming down toward the earth. And I know if any of you have seen how when it's hot outside, how you look through the heat, the air that's heated, and it's wavy. So that's what it kind of looked like. And those waves were coming down, because we just like stopped in the middle of the road and watched this. And the waves started coming down from the sky. And so there were buses and other cars in front of us up ahead, and you knew that they were in the path of this, whatever it was. And so we decided that we were not going to stand around and see what was going to happen, because I had a feeling that whenever that energy or whatever that was coming down, whenever it hit, it was going to destroy whatever was in this path, and then it was gonna spread out a distance, and it was gonna take out whatever was within that distance. And so we turned the car around and started driving. There was conversation about where we were gonna go, and so we ended up walking through the woods. And I don't remember when we got out of the car, but I remember next we were walking through the woods, and we were walking into this house. And when we got into this house, all of a sudden, I mean, we hadn't been in the house probably more than 2 seconds, and it was like we were being rounded up. And and we were going, I was walking down some stairs, and this girl said, they're rounding us up. This could be the mark. And so the next thing I know, we were like bound. Our hands are bound, and I'm in this room where this lady is, and she's kind of heavy set. She looks mean, and there's this girl tied up in this other room, and she takes out a wooden board, and I know that she's gonna go in, she's gonna hit this girl with this board, and I know that she's a torturer. And I'm next, and my boyfriend, this guy who was with me, was my boyfriend, and he was after me. And so I'm standing to this lady's left. My boyfriend is like standing like behind her, kind of got diagonal, closer to the exit door. And I know that she's going to torture us. And so there was some food there, and I tried to eat it because I thought it was gonna do something. But she looked at me and she said, that's not what you think it is. And so she told me what it was, but I don't remember what she said in the dream. But anyway, my boyfriend makes a boat for it, and he escapes into the woods, and they shoot after him and everything. And in the commotion, I escape too. And I know that somewhere in that house there's a closet, and I know where the closet is. I know where it is. So I find the closet, and inside the closet there's this hidden door that I can hide in. And so it's a secret place. And so I go and I get into the secret place, and I sit there, and I close the door and I sit there. But what happens is, a guy who is working with the lady who heads the house, he comes in and he opens the closet, and he sees the hidden door, and he begins to try to open the door. When he begins to try to open the door, I hang on to the doorknob to keep it closed. And we're tugging he's tugging at the door, and I'm holding the door, but he finally gets the door open, and he gets me out. Well, as we're walking, I know he's taking me somewhere. I don't know where, but I know he's taking me somewhere. And so he walks me down this hallway, and he looks at me and he says, you're very beautiful. He said, you're so beautiful. And so I'm real uneasy because this man is looking at me saying this, and I don't know what he might do to me or what he's gonna do with me. So he walks me through this hallway that has books on shelves on both sides. And then he walks me into this room where people are sitting at a long table. And he sits me in front of this man and this woman. I know the woman is the person who's the head of the whole operation there. She's got dark hair. She has a long dark coat, black like leather coat on. She's slender. And then there's a man with her. And the man who got me out, he was dressed like her in leather and black leather, kind of like biker people that are not good people. And so they sit me down in front of them, and I know that she's about to hand me off to these men, and these men are about to take me to the people who are behind the events that happen with the planes. And so he shows me this paper, and he says to me, I see you've signed your name. And I'm like looking at my signature, and then he says he wants me to sign something else, and it's whatever he wants me to sign. I know it's me signing and off to allow myself to be taken by them, so I don't sign it. So the lady takes me, and she takes me into this room, and this room is like filled with cages. I mean, it's the whole room with nothing but high, wide cages. And she throws me in a cage, and she says, so you want to run? And she throws me in the cage, and she locks me in. And the cages are big enough to hold more than one person. They don't look like cages that will hold animals, because they're high enough and wide enough for people. And this whole room is nothing but cages. And so I'm in a cage, and I hear her talking to this young guy, and he's trying to appeal to her compassion. He's talking about some girl, and he's trying to get this person to understand that this girl doesn't deserve to be going through whatever they're about to put her through or something. And so he's trying to appeal to this woman's compassion, but she tells him that she needs for him to continue to do something. And she tells him that I told you that she says, you've been very faithful to me, and as long as you're faithful to me and do what I say, I'm going to release you. I'm going to let you free. And she said, I would have did it for the other ones, which talking about me and my boyfriend. She said, I would have did it for them too. I mean it. And she was just telling him this. So he decides to go along with her. So he walks around by the cage that I'm in, and he looks out the window. There's a window by it. And all of a sudden I see a blast, and he's blasted in his chest, and he falls backwards. And I remember feeling really bad for him, because I knew that he was a good person on the inside. You know, his heart was right. He was really good. But because he had aligned himself up with her, you know, this had happened to him because he had aligned himself up with her. And so when I looked at the window, it was my boyfriend. He was the one that had shot the dude in the chest. And he was running towards me with a weapon in his hand. And when he got me out, and as we were running, because there was a car waiting for us, and as we were running, I saw the girl who had been chained up to be tortured. I saw her, and she had her hand like around the wall. There was a guard, and she had her hand on top of his hand, and whatever she was doing, she was like drawing his energy out of him or something. Whatever she was doing, she was making him you know, incapable of getting us or whatever. And so then as we were running to the car, I was getting in the car, and there was this big beam that was shot toward us. And my boyfriend, he took his hand, and he put his hand out, and he deflected the beam, and the beam didn't hit us. It was deflected back toward the house, and it hit the spot where the cages were, and it destroyed the house in that area. And then my dream ended. So that was my dream. That was so crazy. And I mean, it's so crazy. I don't even know what that dream was. I mean, but I know that it was awesome, and it was adventurous, and it was like a wow. It was like a wow dream, one of those wow dreams. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. To give you guys something to enjoy this morning. And I don't know, it's probably symbolism in the dream. You know, God was, I'm sure, speaking something to me through the dream, but I hadn't got the full revelation of it yet. So until then, I'm just sharing this with you guys just as a dream, because I don't know the revelation of it yet. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and so that you guys could hear and get your own, you know, seek God for your own about the revelation of that dream. So because I really do think it has something to do with the end time events and everything. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. Love you guys. And as you guys know, I don't come on YouTube all the time. I'm not frequent on YouTube. I only come on and share things with you guys when I have something to share. So love you guys. You guys have a beautiful weekend. Bye bye.